I'm male, but I've never actually sat down and said, am I really male? Am I partly male?
Because you that's your cis privilege,
Am
though. That,
I,
you
well,
know, yeah.
I don't have that. I mean, I do maybe have some cis privilege. I did have some conflicts as a kid, like a lot of gay kids do, about why am I feeling this way? Am I really a girl? Am I not? And that's quite common. Puberty for me cured me of that. I was suddenly like, this is great, whatever this is. I have this equipment 24 hours a day, and it's amazing. The best thing that happened to me in my
Great. Thank God
life.
I'm not a girl. Yes, yes,
Uh,
exactly.
so, but I think of myself as male, but I don't think of myself as having a gender in as much as I'm just me, right? So there are parts of me that clearly, if you wanted to say a sort of more feminine, that could be true. I sit down and read T.S. Eliot. I used to, I like walking in the countryside by myself or with my dog. I don't know whether these are
That's
feminine or
so
whatever.
girly,
I
walking in
am.
the
I
countryside.
don't
Yeah.
like and never like contact sports. I don't like team sports. I'm phobic of violence, actually. But why do I have to call myself genderqueer? Why do I don't mind being a man who exhibits a range of
Yeah.
behaviors that could be gendered in any which way. But why do we have to? I'm also happy just having the shorthand of male. I mean, it's easy, right?
I think we were so lucky to grow up in a time where we could just live our lives sort of
Mm,
un unexamined by the digital sphere. We just sort of lived on our own
mm,
terms. It was much more gender neutral. When I was growing up in the 70s, I was a little kid in the 70s. There weren't like necessarily girls' toys and boys' toys. There was some of that, but if you were a little girl, the cool thing was to be like what they called a tomboy back then. Like being a girly girl was not cool. And it certainly didn't make you not a girl if you wanted to play sports and run around. I was, like I say in the problem with everything, I don't think it's any accident that the two the biggest female stars of the 1970s were Jodie Foster, child stars, Jodie Foster in film, and Christy McNichol as a television star, and they both, grew up to be out lesbians. Uh, so I think there was a sort of aesthetic that we could align ourselves with at that time that was much more fluid, and there was just a much wider bandwidth.
yeah,
But I
and I
want to
think
get back.
yeah, go on.
Yeah, no, but I also, I think this is something that I talk about too. Like this idea of being an outlier as opposed to an outsider is also something that people have a hard time recognizing.
Mm,
Like it may be like there are certain things about me that are most people are just not like that. Um, like for instance, I never wanted to have children. Okay. And it's just something about me. It makes me different than most people. Most people do want to have children. They will. But I don't really this doesn't need to be an identity category.
right.
It's just something about me, and most people aren't that way. And I don't really need to live in a world where people who don't want children are recognized as such. There's this term child free that I really can't stand. Uh, and there is a sort of movement or community of people who have chosen not to have children, and they're very they want to be recognized, and they feel like they are overlooked, and that just doesn't make any sense to me. It's just something about you. Move on. And I think we see that manifesting in all sorts of ways.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and what that does in a way is I think in some ways regressive in as much as the attempt for young boys and girls to have to analyze or being analyzed on a range of super masculine to super feminine, and where are you in this spectrum, as opposed to, you're just Meghan, I'm just Andrew. I don't know where I would be. You could probably have a big argument about this, but why does that matter? Why aren't we just comfortable with real diversity? I mean, my point always about intersectionality, is that we're all a zillion different intersections of life, history, geography, race, religion, gender, all of it. You take intersectionality to its logical conclusion, you end up with individualism.